He's got so much money that he just built a giant park or playground.
Yeah. He bought all of this stuff.
So in a way, this is part of his office too. What's that?
Oh, it's a hotel.
Also built by Mr. Money. What's that? Those spiders?
No, he didn't build it. He bought it because he's rich. And it's like £75 billion.
So Beatrice, tell me, what was your starting point for this film?
It's really a literary starting point. It's a novel by William Gaddis written in 1975 that is called JR, and that is a kind of satire of American capitalism. It's about, the protagonist is an 11-year-old boy who amasses this vast financial empire and destroys the lives of all of those that come into contact with it. And the kind of second protagonist is the school's resident modernist composer. So, the novel was kind of the starting point. But the project as a whole, because this film is actually part of a series of films that I did around that book and around the same topic. So, as a whole, it's looking at sort of abstraction in music and in finance and how they might be related, but through the lens of that novel, or just sort of using that novel as a starting point. Yeah.
Okay. So you normally like to work collaboratively, but there's more of a sense of authorship with this one.
Yeah, although, it has both. Yeah, like I was saying, my films are often a kind of antagonistic, maybe, meeting of both highly authored elements and also kind of more spontaneous or improvised elements. So in this case, the protagonist of this film is the 11-year-old Clay, Barnard Chodzko, or a kind of fictional boy. But the proceedings in the production process are quite led by Clay, in the sense it's his material that makes up the film that I haven't asked him to construct.
He's guiding us through this kind of billionaire's playground that he's constructed. Exactly. Was that a task that you set him?
So he had built this world in Minecraft, and I commissioned him to kind of create a billionaire's office. And he actually had this existing character called Mr. Money, who's a little animated character. So I worked with the animator and we animated the character, but it was a drawing that he had, an existing drawing. So
that fit perfectly.
Yeah, so the process is a lot of like sort of encountering, encountering things that exist and then framing them in a more authored way, I guess. Yeah.
And he comes up with some really interesting insights about this Mr. Money.
Yeah, he's Japanese. What does he say?
He has a Japanese accent. He said, "Is he Japanese?" No, he has a Japanese accent.
So he's quite
entertaining. And how did he get rich? Oh, he was just born with money. And I think, wow, 11-year-old, you know stuff.
Yeah, but one of the things that I was keen to not focus on in a way was like kind of overly negative ideas about wealth. And part of the novel is, one of the reasons I was interested in the Gaddis novel is because it's actually quite ambiguous about capitalism. It's a critique of the capitalist system, but Gaddis is resolutely kind of pro-capitalism. So it looks at a set of aesthetics than it does take a kind of sort of negative stance, let's say.
And kids would have.
And so Clay's comments are also quite. They're not really.
They're much less filtered, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're not. And I edited out some of the more negative ones intentionally. Let's say, so it's sort of a more playful idea of his billionaire in a way. Yeah.
Was there a specific sort of link to Sheffield or the site, or Martin's sort of curatorial vision that you felt this chimed with?
Well, not really, actually. It's Martin who approached. I'd already made this film in 2014, so it was Martin for whom it chimed more than me. This is my first, well, other than the install, it's my first visit to Sheffield.
Although it's really interesting, I suppose, contemplating this capitalistic narrative in a town that has been incredibly prosperous and incredibly vibrant, and that has gone through all these cycles of boom and bust. And still, to all intents and purposes, there are a lot of derelict buildings around. I think it could play a very interesting role within the sequence of works here.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
There's the kind of scene at the end of maybe you missed the end, where there's a train that kind of ricochets around Minecraft in a kind of chaotic, unstable way, and it's quite an apt metaphor for the way that Gaddis is trying to look at capitalism, and the way that maybe the film also looks at the chaos of it in a quite ambivalent way. How did the slightly grotesque rubber-headed figures come into it? That's again led by Clay. I kind of commissioned him or asked him to design this millionaire's office in Minecraft, and then we did some filming in it. It's notoriously difficult to get access to financial institutions, but we did manage to get access to one bank in London, and so I had said to him, why don't you come on the shoot, sort of research for your commission, Minecraft commission, and bring some things with you, maybe we can film them, whatever, some toys that you like, your favourite toys. So he came with like a machete and an old woman's mask. I think it's the Queen.
Wow.
There was lots of is it the Queen? There's lots of deliberation on set.
Yeah.
And so then that's how we ended up filming those things. So it's all again like serendipity. But so the process of making the film in a way mirrors the sort of the subject in a sense. So it's looking at the chaos and kind of indeterminate elements of capitalism, and the production process is also the same. So I don't really control what happens other than inviting Clay to bring whatever he brings with him. So they sort of collapse together.
Yeah. And the soundtrack?
There's many different parts of the soundtrack. There's
a choir sort of singing at the beginning.
Yeah, so another sort of big element of the research was this musical educator called John Painter.
Right.
Composer and educator, who's late composer and educator, and he was famous for taking difficult music into primary schools, so like forcing 8-year-olds to deal with Stockhausen and Cage, and the first track is a piece that he did in a primary school called Heslington Primary School outside of Leeds, an improvisatory piece with some 11-year-olds, and it was a 1960s recording.
Nice, Yorkshire connection.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was fascinated to read about your work with graphic scores, or your inspiration of these kind of radical, experimental 60s scores. Did you use that same process for the making of this?
Yeah, so...
can you explain to someone who knows nothing about graphic scores how that works?
So, I'm interested in this particular period of kind of music making, which is in the 60s, and it's in the context of the politics of the 60s. So, and maybe Britain's foremost figure in that area is a man called Cornelius Cardew, who's kind of like England's John Cage, maybe, but sort of a bit more political in a way. And so, graphic scores or like notation for Cardew is a way to experiment with his politics. So, like music and politics aren't two separate things; they are really collapsed. And so, graphic scores become this way to propose more egalitarian forms of making music together. So, instead of the composer telling the performer what to do, where one note, like an A is an A, you draw a circle, and that's open to interpretation by a group of performers who thereby become more of a kind of equal co-author in the work, because they are deciding what it means.
Yeah.
So, like the process I was describing of making the film, I'm interested in kind of importing some of those ways of thinking about making films into filmmaking. So inviting Clay to come along with whatever, on the evening before the shoot, and see what it is that he brings with him. So in a way, the authorship for me happens a lot like a scoring process. It's like the production is scored, and then on set, whatever happens, and hopefully something good will happen. So
And how do you feel about the piece that's resulted?
I like this film actually. Yeah. I don't like everything I do. Not everybody doesn't like everything they do, but I feel it's got like a light, because it's with a kid, and he's got such a great imagination, and a lot of the works I make are a result of the people or the things or the objects that are part of them, and he's just he's just kind of a fun guy. And so it's got like a light-hearted feeling that I like a lot.
Yeah, definitely. It's that volatile element of a child's imagination. Plus Minecraft, which throws in its own volatile elements from what my teenagers show me.
Yeah, I think it also has a very collaborative based, right? How it's the kids make it. It's not like
together. They can
exactly.
make worlds in tandem.
Yeah.
Excellent.